And I really loved, photography. Not as much as I did broadcasting, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I had a camera in my hand since I was a kid. And, it was so bad, the experience I had, and then roughly after or just before that, having that happen over in the Canadian Rockies, honestly, I got rid of all my camera equipment. I have never had an urge, to ever take a picture again. And, or anything. I just lost interest in photography. And I'll be honest with you, Leonard Nimoy bought some of my photographs. Scott Bourne was a movie director, was a friend of Leonard Nimoy. He had a major photo studio in Tacoma, in the old City Hall building. And that's how I met Leonard Nimoy, and he wanted to look at some of my pictures. I also shot for Playboy at one point in my life. So, I mean, I was quite known as a photographer. And whatever all this transpired, it was like I didn't want to touch cameras again. I was done. I didn't want anything. It's such a bad association. It just made me lose interest in something I really loved.
It's pretty dramatic for it to do that, then. I mean, if you carried it around since you were a child, it definitely had to be a life-changing event anyway.
Well, it was for me. I mean, like I said, I never believed in that type of thing, and never took it serious until it happened to me. So that's what, and like I said, I was in broadcasting on and off for all these years. That's what got me doing like paranormal talk shows. I mean, it really got me thinking there's so many things out here that we can't even account for. And
right.
It's just like what you guys do. I mean, you get stuff that, some people look at it and they go, "Oh, that's fake." It's not fake.
Right. I mean, I was talking to someone this afternoon, and they was talking about things. It was talking about the demonic is actually what we were talking about, and they said they don't know if they would want to go in there and have that happen. They said, why would you? And I said, one thing is for proof. He says, well, we believe, and then it doesn't matter. You can have perfect evidence, and no one's going to believe it anyway. I mean, they're going to say, oh, it's faked or whatever. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I always, before I started into it, I thought that anybody that had anything to do with the paranormal, it was just seeking attention, or, it's just total BS, until it happened to me, and I said, maybe a little more to this. And that's when I started looking into it a little bit more serious then. And after, over the years, we've seen some strange things. And, you get no concrete evidence. Nothing's concrete, but,
Well, you got so much stuff now that's just out there that,
faked. Yeah.
You look at pictures that people send to you and circle this and circle that. Look at this. Like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're looking at. But, I mean, it's like, EVPs or video surveillance or pictures or anything, somebody sends us or whatever, or even other paranormal groups, It's like, hey, man, check this out. It's like, oh, it's pretty cool, It's like, I can have my own opinion of what it is, but, like, most of the time it's like, look, my opinion of it is like, I'm not there with you. I wasn't there when this was audio recorded or
and the photo
was taken. So why? I'm not gonna say that it's fake. I mean, that's your call on what you feel is unexplainable.
What the circumstances were behind that.
Right. I don't know what who was there. Who all was there with.
We can't recreate it.
Right.
We can't go back.
The same thing with us. I mean, just like today, we're going through audio files for the show and all for the from Adams County Jail, and I've come across a couple things, that I was like, yeah, it could be paranormal, but I don't know for sure about this sound that I'm hearing. It could be this or be that, It's like, so I just dismiss it. It's not good enough in my eyes to say, hey, y'all need to check this out. Now we got one that's like. This one file that this one recorder in the second floor where the camera and the light battery went dead, and matter of fact, that was the same floor last time we were there. The camera moved.
Well, I was going to tell them, they can go on, if anyone's by a computer, which I'm sure they are if they're listening, they can go to southernparanormal.live/audio, and that's going to be a full directory there of our EVPs. And the ones that he's talking about, you'll see a directory called Adams Jail 2018. The ones that we came up with, they're in there, and you can listen, as what he's talking about here. Probably hear it a little bit better, too, on your own system instead of us playing it. But
yeah, that there's one file that, it really didn't pick anything up on several of the audios. I just kind of went through it and was like, well. And then this one is like first, 30 seconds I hear something. Then like a minute and a half I hear something. And then I think 8 minutes into that one audio file, I caught this one, and it was like, oh my God. I'm sitting there, and it's like plain as day. I know what it's saying, or what I think it's saying, and I had my 13-year-old daughter say, hey, come here, check this out. She's been on a couple investigations with us on local stuff. And I was like, tell me what you hear right here. It's like right in the middle. And she listened to it. She's like, play it again. It's like, yeah. She told me what it said. It's like, that's what I think it said. And then I sent it to Dole. I said, it's like, tell me what you think it's saying. And he tells me the same thing. I was like, so it's not, my ears telling me that's what it's saying. I've had, 2 other sets of ears to hear it.
Well, that's why you guys are back on the third time. I've interviewed a couple other ghost hunting groups on my show. There was one group I actually cut them off after about 20 minutes because, I think I told you before, they were more interested in trying to get picked up by some cable channel than they were actually ghost hunting or trying to prove anything. I mean, they didn't really go out and do anything. They went to a couple people's houses, and it seemed like that was it. And they were hoping to get picked up on national cable. And then I've had other ones that get on the show, and you really start talking to them. It's nothing more than a social gathering.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to hear on my show. I want somebody that's actually trying to prove it or disprove it.
Yeah, there's been stuff. We were at, trying to think of what hospital. We've been several hospitals. We were at a hospital. I don't remember which one it was. But there was a light in one of the bathrooms that was flickering on and off. And we had heard about it, from other people.
South Pittsburgh.
Is this old South Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, trying to check it out. And then we were in the break room, and the light, somebody was in the bathroom, and the light kept going off, coming on, going off, going on. It's like, wow, So we sat there and messed with it for
we spent
20
a long
minutes.
time with this light.
And videoing and all. It's like, this goes, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. We're getting automatic, intelligent responses from this light flickering on and off, cutting on and off. I mean, it would completely go off and completely come on. So we were telling the manager at that time, was a different manager than the one they had last time. So, I mean, we were sitting there and we were telling her about it. It's like, oh, man, yeah, we hear that all the time. So, I mean, I'm curious about why, is there other possibilities? So, I went in later that day or later that night, and I looked at the light, and I looked at the fixture, and I looked at the light bulb, and I was like, okay. So I go home, and I start researching. And the recessed light that was in there is what they had in that bathroom. And I was, doing research on it, and I found that they had like a 100-watt bulb in there, regular fluorescent or regular light bulb. And I was doing research on it, and I was like, and come to find out that there was a relay switch in those lights, in the light fixture itself. The light bulb was too large of a light bulb, too much wattage for that light. So what was happening is that the relay switch, the safety switch, to keep from burning the place down, basically. The relay switch was cutting the light off, cutting power to it. It would cool down enough to where the light bulb would come back on. And that's what was happening. It just so happened, during our conversations with the so-called spirit light there, it was just timed perfect, when we were asking questions. Turn the light off. Click, turn it off. Wow, cool. Hey, can you turn it back on? Click, turn it back on. And I emailed her and told her, it's like, hey, you may want to check into getting that light bulb changed out because it's not paranormal. It's your fixture there, safety switch.
But
it's kind of debunking. You got to do some of the background research and debunk some of this stuff that you think may be paranormal.
Well, a good person that does what you guys do would do that. Where some of these groups out there wouldn't. I mean, that automatically that would have been paranormal event.
Yeah, and I mean, it stinks when you find that hey man, you remember that thing? So, yeah, it was this. Oh, really? Yeah. Or I think it might be this. I was like, well, crap. And we've done that with EVPs too. It's like, hey, that EVP that we're talking about, because there was one in particular. I don't remember what it was, but I remember we were like just crazy about it because it was really clear. And come back to and I think it was you that I think Dole actually said, hey, it was so and so. Really?
One of my favorite ones, though, my favorite story was Donald and another member, Gavin. We were at Lincoln Hospital, and we had, our cameras pulled through the place, shadow cams that zooked into our trailer. And at the end of the night, I went up there, and I was back. They had just came by one of the cameras, and they were doing, I think, some EVPs and sessions in the top floor. And I went up there, and I started tearing down the camera, and I just laid it there, and I left and went back downstairs. So they came back by, and the camera is all knocked over or laid down in the floor, but it was neatly rolled up. They spent 20 minutes on the video up there, doing an EVP session
really early in the morning too. We were just delirious after that. Now that was the one where Gavin was upstairs and
he got touched.
He got touched up in the one of the rooms up there because we thought it was one of the light switch. In your old hospitals, you had the lighting over the bed more or less, and you had the pull cord on them. And I'm sitting there recording. He's kind of kneeled down on the wall there and doing an EVP session. I'm videoing, and I was like, he just kind of brushed his head. It's like, just spiderweb or something hit me in the head. And I'm thinking, well, it's probably the light cord, hanging there. It's like, it's just that string, After I got up and looked, I was like, there's no string here. There's nothing here, over top of your head that could have touched you.
Wow. Now, have you guys ever had anybody, I don't know if you've done people's houses or anything like that, but have you ever had anybody fake it where they thought, they could get a little bit of, fame from it and try to tell you that, hey, my house is haunted or my building's haunted and fake it and get you out there and try to convince you that there's something there that's not?
Yeah, we've been to several residentials. One in particular that sits in my mind was like really good paranormal stuff. We've been to.
We tried to, filter it beforehand. I mean, we'll call them up and talk with them too, and the credibility of the person, makes a big difference.
There's a lot of standard questions when we get contacted about things like that. I'll dig into their history of, have you done any history of the place? What's going on? And when they call us about things like that, I'll set up, it's like after a questionnaire, type thing I go through with them and really kind of talk and see if I just got a feeling it's a lot of made up stuff or is it, actual factual stuff that they're, talking about. One thing that I always tell them is that, look, I want you to start, I'm going to talk to our group, see what we can do. And I always tell them, we've got, if they want to keep it hush-hush private, nobody knows about it, we'll do that, we'll be discreet about it.
What are they looking for? Are they looking for validation or they're looking to cleanse the home,
Right, and, I tell them, we got a mobile unit we can bring in, but if you don't want that, we can keep it hush-hush, because they're like, our mobile unit is a big eye catcher. I mean, you can't hide that thing. It's wrapped up, you've seen pictures of it. But one thing I tell them is like, look,